Hi friends, my name is Borrodante, SCP-096. It's time to finish this. So I think it's definitely gonna be the last episode. Let's work some more on the face, on feet. I kind of still don't like them all that much yet. Like, some proportions are weird. At least we should make the toes a bit bigger, I think. I don't know. And then cover everything with the highlights of a proper amount. So let's see where this goes. So I looked up some skinny photo references, and also I was looking for some feet pictures, but it's kind of hard to find a good angle as usual. So I actually remembered I had quite a few pictures of my own feet back in the day when I was playing a lot with my DSLR camera when I just got it. So this is my expressive, bony, veiny feet, and this is another picture of them. So I think this will be a lot more useful than everything else that I managed to find online. I actually had these feet like on Flickr for a while, and so many people favorite pictures of my feet. I assume it's like a thing for foot fetish or something, which is kinda creepy, gross, and also very flattering. Alright, I think we're all set. Now let's actually go through some extra anatomy details. It will be much better if we have it like this, I think. Yeah. So at first I add like a shadow base for the veins, and then on top I'll be painting with the brightest color, and we'll get the veiny effect pretty easily right away. Okay, let's add some veins on the second foot, and all the special, like, I love this kind of connection here, whatever it's called. You really need to stress your feet to do that, but I guess that's exactly what would fit the shy guy in this situation. I am the shy guy! And you've all seen my face. I like the idea of exaggerating, or not exaggerating, but paying a lot of attention to veins on the limbs. I think this will really fit this character. Accidentally found this out by painting the feet, but let's do the same thing on arms later. That'll be cool. Yeah, veins are something I always neglect usually, paying too much attention to bones and muscles. But this is actually a really important part of anatomy. It's like a next level of details. I think it's time to start paying attention to it. Okay, now it looks a lot more fun, right? Not sure if we should make it even bigger, like the feet in general. Might be a good idea, let's give it a try. Oh yeah, feels a lot more appropriate with this size for the feet, right? Kinda cool. Okay, I think feet are all set. It's really well done now, I think. Well, except for the colors and highlights. Now let's add some veins for the hands, and then do some work on the face. I want to push it a lot further. I don't like the face yet. So yeah, let's start with the hands. So I'm still following the same idea. It doesn't matter how small the detail is, you have to think about where it's located and where the light is. So always add the details with a proper light. I'm still thinking through, like, this side of the vein is facing away, like to the right. That's why it's gonna be dark, but this part is facing forward. It's the other side of the bump of the vein. And the vein itself is on this plane, which is facing a little bit to the right. So the left side of it is gonna face us. And it usually seems like, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand that, but I'll just make a slight light bump. No, if you really follow the light, if you really think through the geometry, not just think through, but actually make it happen, it will pay off really well, with realism and everything. Okay, looking cool. I feel like we're missing one vein in here. Now let's do a little bit in here. Okay, now for the second arm. I did some of the details in here already, but no veins. Okay, now some veins for the upper part. Oh yes, it looks a lot more realistic now. I smoothed out some transitions between, like, these muscles, between the bicep and this top one. I made it softer so it looks better, and also added some wrinkles in the armpit, because that's what always happens. And we can see that a little bit on this ZBrush reference here. So that's cool. And also, I just connected the muscles a bit better to the clavicles and everything. Working out pretty cool. Adam's apple. Okay, I think it's time to work on some face. And that's it, the black and white version of Shy Guy is done. Then we'll add some nice colors in multiply mode and that'll be it. Okay, let's see. Let's liquefy you a little bit more again. Search must go on. A bit better. Now let's work some with the brush actually. Some scar on the nose. Okay, let's try something. So I moved his jaw a bit to the front. I think it makes it look much better this way. So maybe let's fix up the shape of the torso a bit. I remember someone mentioned it and it feels like a good idea at the moment. Let's show the ribcage curve a bit more. I'm looking at this reference and there's the pretty strong angle at the top part of the belly. And that's what I was going for initially, but then I kind of lost it. Okay, I think we're good. Now let's add some reds. So new layer, clip masking, multiply mode. Good. So I'm using this kind of bright, almost pure red, but slightly orange-ish. I just realized it's wrong to use multiply here, right? Because we were rendering with the air perspective, that means nothing is supposed to be darker than this dark gray, and multiply pushes these dark areas even darker. We should actually, on top, add a layer with just air perspective in lighten mode. It's almost not going to change anything except for fixing the areas where multiply brought it down too much. So anyway, this is a good idea to keep there to sort of color correct the whole thing. Ooh, let's add some scratches, right? I almost forgot. Like, colors are cool and all, but let's do scratches. Where do we have them? Everywhere. Okay, let's do some of that. Let's use our gluttony brush. Okay, I remember there was a scar on his head. I don't know how much we'll be able to show of it. Something like this. That might be even too much, but whatever. Okay, what else? Where are the other scars? Oh, this one. This one looks cool. Adding some dirt as well, especially on the feet. So to get a good shape of the dirt spot, don't only use like the addition, also erase a lot. In this case you get like a realistic, cool shapes that don't look like they were just actually painted with a pretty obvious brush shape. So adding, removing, like some kind of hints on the fact that the spot appeared there and then it was scratched away a little bit. So it kind of like makes it more complex in that sense. Okay, now let's add maybe a little bit of color to the dirt. maybe it's at some point it gets a bit brighter than just a dark spot, and it will reveal a little bit of color, especially in the bright areas of the body. Oh yeah, immediately makes it a lot more colorful when you'll add some random colors on top. Okay, now a little bit of old blood somewhere. Just a hint, not too much, because he may have been like washed after it by the SCP Foundation and whatnot, but some hints are definitely welcome, I think. So I'm using this kind of brush. The biggest problem with these kind of brushes is that they create a texture which looks cool, but it's really flat if you apply it like all over the place. It can't be applied everywhere. And let's polish it a bit with a basic brick brush. Okay, the blood is more or less here, I think. It looks pretty good. Really don't want to overdo it. I don't want him to be about the blood, because it's really easy to just take away all the attention to it. Let's add some blue veins. That's a thing we should definitely add. So another layer with multiply mode. Alright, last touch, let's add some highlights. And this part will actually make him look very colorful. Like before highlights, he kinda looks like he's black and white and with color on top. And right now, as we add highlights that are not distorted by the color of the surface, by the color of the blood or anything, they're just pale white spots, it starts to look like it's a real thing. Like he's actually in color. So this is interesting. You shouldn't only add highlights on bumps, but also on the indents. Like in here, we added the highlight on the genitalia area, but then there's a fold next to it. And it will also face the light source at a certain point. So it kind of brings an extra realism if you really think this through. So here we have a whole bunch of different elements in the equation of the material. We have light and shadow, we have color, different kinds of colors for different reasons. Whether it's just reds of the skin, blue veins showing up, maybe some translucency. I actually added a little bit of a hint, like slightly yellow. Some blood spots. Then on top of that we add highlights, which bring in a whole lot of cool information on top of everything we already have. For instance, with sharp and really bright details, I bring the information that that area is wet, and the dirt or the blood is fresh of some sort. Even when there's no visible dirt, there still can be a highlight that would bring the idea that there's some kind of wetness going on. Okay, now a little bit of highlights on the bottom part with a slightly more saturated and yellow kind of light. Maybe a bit more red to the highlight though. Yeah, this seems more appropriate. Okay, I think this is it. I think I'm happy with everything. Let's maybe do a tiny little something on the background, although I'm not exactly sure what. Let's maybe fix some dirt. But in general, I'm already pretty tired and background is really not important for me right now. Final touch, let's add a vignetting, and maybe this is it. Moving the air perspective layer in lighten mode on top of vignetting to avoid this kind of too dark of a color. Yeah, this looks cool. I also think maybe it's a good idea to increase the exposure on the bottom part of the flashlight spot even more. So we create a mask with curves. Then we increase the brightness kind of like this. Or even, yeah, let's do the exposure thing like this. Then we'll blur out a bit the mask. And then we'll use gradient with transparency to remove the brightness from the top. And maybe even more. So now we have this kind of more of a realistic exposure, I think. And while we're here, let's add a big bright spot from the, fog lit up by the ray of the flashlight. Now, we shouldn't imply any direction, because it's almost... The flashlight is right next to the camera. There shouldn't be any actual, directed light like that. A little foggy extra something to the left, and that's it. That's all we can do there. Alright. Maybe just a few particles flying in the air lit up by the flashlight. Something like this. So this is our take on Shy Guy. Tell me what you think. Tell me what I did wrong. There, I made the whole background a bit darker. Like the material of the metal is darker. I think it actually looks better, it shouldn't be as bright. And now the Shy Guy looks a bit more like he's actually white. Before that everything was of the same color, sort of. And now he actually looks a lot brighter than the background. That's cool. Yeah, so this is it. Tell me what you think. Tell me what other SCPs do we paint next, because we're definitely continuing this. Yeah, I really love what we ended up with here. I think it's really cool. So yeah, this is it. Awesome. And I thank you for watching if you did. I guess you did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Make holes in your t-shirt and act like it's cool. Do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. I don't know why, but I only feel pity for him. I guess that's because he has such a nice face. Well, aside from the mouth and blood and all that.